Hello, welcome to Today in Bad Theology, the Today in Bad Theology Christmas special, your theologically bad decorations. Now, there were some rules for submission to this one. It wasn't just supposed to be bad decorations because there'd be no end to that sort of thing. The decorations had to have a bad theology to them. And so that's what we're looking at here. And there are three submissions that I want to share with you. The first one comes from back east, out of state for me. It is this Thanksgiving service decor. Look at this. There's a lot going on in this picture. Oh my goodness. So let's talk first about what's on this table. These dolls, they don't belong there. Why don't they belong there? All right. What is the table in church? What is the altar? Right? It is a table. That's why I call it that usually rather than an altar. It is a table. It's meant to symbolize the meal that's going to take place at it. And first and foremost, it is a place for a meal. And it's the meal that Christ presides at, and at which Christ is the food and drink. And so the symbols you want at the table, you want few symbols and really obvious symbols. So the table should look like a table. The bread should look like bread. The cup should look like a cup, even from a distance. And most of us worship from a distance. Right? Most of us aren't right on top of the thing. So these things should look obviously like what they are, and anything else is kind of in the way. So there's a simple crowding factor of having these dolls on the altar. There's more than just crowding, though. They're competing with the presence of the body and blood of Christ for attention. And these dolls are clearly quite white. The white pilgrims and what look like white people dressed up as Native Americans. Right? They don't look like Native Americans to me. They look like white dolls that have been dressed up in Native American costume. Yes, I mean, there's so much to be offended about here, right? You've got a whitewashed version of the Thanksgiving story. If you want to know more about what my problems with the Thanksgiving story, I'll put a link to that in the video description here below. You've got this whitewashed version of the Thanksgiving story where everybody's happy, and you've set it on the table at which Christ is supposed to be present, right? You have merged your whitewashed Thanksgiving story and Christ. That's like, this is beyond just like bad theology here. I mean, this is like, we're talking a commandment violation here, right? No, you shall not take the Lord's name in vain. You're sticking this whitewashed version of Thanksgiving to Jesus. You've mixed some things that do not belong mixed together. There's more here, though. I mean, the table, of course, is not just a table, and a lot of us, our devotional practice, the table also symbolizes Christ's death in a couple of ways. A lot of early Christian groups took care of grave sites and burial sites and would have meals on the burial sites. Right? Tombs became tables at which the Christians would gather and eat. It was a way of eating with the saints who had gone before them. And of course, the ultimate person with whom you're eating is Jesus. So there's a way in which you're eating kind of on Jesus' tomb, celebrating that he rose from it. It is also common to treat the linens on the table as though they are Jesus' own burial shroud. Right? That's kind of reverence meant to be shown to that. If you watch, when I did the reading of the Passion here at Trinity back on Palm Sunday, and when I did the part where Jesus has the Last Supper and the part where Jesus is buried, I did them both from the table with the cloth very prominent. Let's underscore that idea. This is Jesus' burial. What does this whitewashed version of history have to do with anything? There's more going on here, though. I want to look at this. You notice the liturgical color, right? The liturgical color in this picture is red. Why is it red? The person who submitted this picture told me that the color is red because the people who set the table thought it was a good fall color. Now, liturgical colors are hardly the end-all, be-all, right? They are not worth getting super upset over. But what's especially frustrating about them is that it's written in the book what you're supposed to do, right? It is written in the book what you're supposed to do. And this is what drives me, at least me as a pastor, nuts, is not that somehow you didn't consult me for my special knowledge on what liturgical color it is, but that literally there's like a calendar in the sacristy with the colors on it, and there are multiple books in the sacristy that tell you what color to put up at what season, and they all agree with each other, all right? And if they don't, yeah, then you ask the pastor what you're supposed to do. But the books are clear. Red is not a Thanksgiving color, and red is not used because it's a pretty fall color, right? Red is traditionally used to symbolize the Holy Spirit on big Holy Spirit days, so Pentecost. In the Reformation traditions, Reformation Sunday, right? It's used at ordinations. The Holy Spirit is present at ordinations and consecrations. And many churches do not invest in scarlet paraments, the blood red paraments. And so red pulls double duty sometimes for the blood of the martyrs. And so it's used on festivals when we are remembering somebody dying violently or prematurely. If a saint died of old age, like Saint John, for example, tradition has it he just got old. We use white instead of red. Right? And some churches will use red in Holy Week. Again, don't have the scarlet to use in Holy Week, so we use it then. It's not a fall color. It's the Holy Spirit. Sometimes it's blood. It's not Thanksgiving. The color at that time of the year is green, or you could use white for a festival that's not got its own special color. And again, this is not the end-all, be-all, but the fact that you didn't even read the damn book and that your reasoning was simply it looked pretty, now you've made a bad theological statement, right? The colors are supposed to make a theological statement, and your theological statement here is that you like things that look pretty. So yeah, is this picture bad theology? Yeah. Oh yeah, this picture's bad theology. It puts a whitewashed version of history on the grave and table of Christ and dresses it up in theological vestments that are chosen because we think they're pretty. Yeah, that's a commandment violation right there. Next picture, this is my Christmas present to you, this video, so we get into Christmas pictures now. And here we have a nativity scene with Santa Claus in it. This was submitted by somebody. This is actually in the state where I am serving, in Indiana, though not here where I live in this town. And, you know, nativity scenes, if you know me, you might be expecting me just to say that I hate nativity scenes, because I'm always one asking, can we please have biblically accurate stuff, or at least theologically sound stuff? And the nativity scene is not rooted firmly in the biblical story. Right? There's no mention of animals in any of the biblical stories about Jesus' birth, though the fact that there is a manger suggests animals are around. But what kinds? Why are the animals that are pictured the ones that would be standard medieval European farmer animals? Well, it's because this image comes out of medieval Europe, and this notion that the animals at Jesus' birth are singing to him of what gifts they will bring to him. So it's a later invention, but also it's been around for quite a long time, this notion that the animals were there. And, you know, some churches will say, you know, you shouldn't have the wise men there because some will say because you're mixing Luke and Matthew. That's a better reason, in my opinion, than saying because the wise men don't come till Epiphany. Because the original Epiphany story for most of the church is not of the wise men coming. It's actually of the wedding at Cana. Right? It's when Jesus first reveals who he is with his first miracle. The wise men is also a tradition that is used there, but it's not the main one that the church would have preached for a long time. So I don't care if you've got wise men at your nativity scene. I don't care if you've got a nativity scene. What is Santa Claus doing in it, right? Now maybe this is just a joke, all right? We've all seen the jokes, Baby Yoda in the manger, or the cat decides to get into the nativity scene or whatever. And okay, those are funny, I suppose. But when you throw Santa in there, it's a little weird, because I'm not sure that you're trying to be funny, and I'm not sure that you quite grasp what Santa is. Santa's not a Christian symbol. Santa is a commercial symbol. Is a symbol of secular Christmas in America. And placing him at the birth of Jesus makes, at best, a very confused statement. So your manger scene's not going to be biblically accurate. It could have a good theology. I don't know that the theology here is bad. I'm not sure anybody's being hurt. But this is definitely theology that's not so good. Santa's out of place here. Why is Santa out of place? Well, this brings me to our third picture, and this one is from right here in my town, Valparaiso, Indiana. This picture, you might not be able to see it clearly. I think you can, but if you're having trouble, this is Santa with a kind of bewildered expression on his face. And on one shoulder, he has got a kind of drunk-looking bald eagle. And on the other shoulder, he's got an American flag. And you say, how is this theologically bad? Isn't this just tasteless? Oh no, it's not just tasteless. It is theologically bad. See, Santa Claus is a theological symbol, right? You've taken Father Christmas, who may have symbolized Yuletide or whatever, and the solstice, and you've removed him from that setting. And you've taken Saint Nicholas, the Bishop of Myrna, who rescued children from sex trafficking and punched heretics at church councils. And you've removed him from the good things he did that made him a worthy, venerable character in Christian history. And you've merged them together into this symbol of American marketplace capitalism. Right? I mean, who is Santa in the narrative, right? He's a factory owner. He commands the obedience of workers who toil endlessly to create stuff that nobody actually needs but that everybody wants, and is taken to kids. And of course then, the poor kids don't get as much stuff, and it just reinforces that, well, this is rich people Christmas. And you say, you're overthinking this. No, that's what the damn story is. And then we tell our children that this is going to happen, right? And we try to recapture whatever lost innocence we have as adults, and try to recreate that for our children by telling them this character is real and creating this whole story about him. And we put him out there at the time of Jesus' birth, in direct competition with Jesus, right? And I don't care if you stick him at a nativity scene or whatever. He is Jesus' competition, right? And Christmas is the time when Jesus is born, right? And Santa sets up against that. And I know some people like to argue, Christmas wasn't originally set at the solstice. Okay, but it was like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, right? Like pretty damn early on, right? And actually, there's actually a pretty good biblical claim for it being at the winter solstice. If you look at the Gospel of Luke and what seasons things would have been happening during the conception of John the Baptist and Jesus, you can argue this is actually a first century idea. It's still a stretch to say that's when it happened, but the point is it's old. This isn't something that was just thought up like a few years ago. Right? Christmas has been at this season, and a lot of Christian traditions have been anti-Christmas because people always partied too much of the season, but the season was Jesus' birth. Right? To set Santa up at this time of the year, advocating for conspicuous consumption at the time that Jesus comes to turn the tables on the powers of this world, it's anti-Christmas. So Santa's a theological claim. And then to put him with an American flag and a bald eagle just makes the very overt claim that in our house we celebrate secular Christmas, which is anti-Christian. Right? In our house, we believe in America and American military might and market capitalism. And if we do believe in a Jesus, he doesn't look a whole lot like the Jesus that we know from good theology or the New Testament. This one is bad theology. Yeah, Santa Claus, bad theology. Well, that's enough for one video, I think. This was what we were able to do for this video. If you want to send me theologically bad pictures, please do. Theologically bad decorations. If we get some more, we'll do another video at some point in the future. But that's it for this one. Have a good, safe holiday. Thank you for watching today in Bad Theology. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the little bell so you can get an update whenever we put a new video up. And we'll see you next time.